Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
Tomorrow is opening day.
This morning, didn't have a great hunt. Deer didn't move like usual.
We just got set up in the middle of this bedding thicket. We've been saving this spot from the rut. I think it's a nice buck.
Boom! Hits a 170.
That was money. I think he's down right over there, maybe 10 yards.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy.
Baller rut.
All right, guys, here we are again, back in the studio. Another day, another podcast. No air conditioner in this one, guys. Let me know if you can hear the difference in the quality. We had a little better temps in here today, so we went with the no air conditioner to give you guys that 198% quality. We reach for 200% all the time.
Okay, the last time we brought up percentage on this podcast, we got called out. So because we didn't give the bush light enough.
Yeah,
percentage.
I know. One of the listeners was like, yeah, the bush light's like 86%.
I understand. The last 2 weeks with the Last Breath boys, the bush light is putting out a bunch of percentage.
Yeah, I'm ready for Bush Light to give us a sponsor. I'm ready for that.
It's time to contact them.
Yeah, it's time to contact them. All right, guys. We like to have a good time. We had Josh Profitt on this episode. We had we had so much fun and learned so much from him the last time. We had to have him come back on.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I really love how you just say learnt.
Learnt?
Yeah. It's not learned.
No.
You didn't learn nothing. You learned a bunch.
You learned a bunch.
We're going to coin that going forward.
Okay. All right. I'm glad.
Learned. If anybody says learned on this podcast going forward, they will be corrected to learned.
Homie is the social media post corrector and my terrible punctuation and spelling, if you guys haven't noticed that yet. But yeah, we had Josh on. We had to get more in detail with his camera knowledge. I don't think we covered it all with him.
I don't. I mean, when you know so much about something, just take just a college professor to say the least, and he just starts on day one, and you're as a student knowing nothing about the whole subject, you're just blown away.
Yeah.
And then, next thing you know, you're mid-semester, you're going home for Christmas break, and you're like, well, I'm kind of getting what the hell he's saying,
And then this is the episode where you're coming back.
Back. I mean, you're getting your head wrapped around it, and it's making a lot more sense.
You guys had a couple weeks to check out the Exodus, and
how do you run 70 truck ups? Well, I run DeerLab. That makes perfect sense. You and two buddies are plugging all this into one username.
So we went in this. We go into the detail of how he keeps track of all his cameras. We had a lot of listeners message in like, "Man, how does he do this?" And we covered a lot of those questions. We cover, how he keeps his SD card separate. What's the best SD card? Battery life, flash range. A lot of things when you're setting up those cameras going out. To get those velvet ruts, or maybe you already had them out a while and you want to switch them up.
Stuff that's very easy to overlook.
Yeah, stuff that's
you might have one camera and the infrared is more powerful.
Yeah, that's something I would have never thought.
You don't realize it, but you should have swapped the lesser infrared. It might be just a lesser camera.
Yeah.
But so say my scenario, I'm gonna put a camera in the buck nest and a camera in the bean field.
Yeah.
I would have put my better camera in the buck
field.
Nest.
Yeah.
No,
in the buck. Yeah.
The buck nest because I want them better quality pics.
Yeah.
But I need that better quality camera for the bean field to get that better flash range.
To get the better flash range out in the bean field.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's stuff that we cover in this episode. A lot of good detail.
Just knowledge. He's full of knowledge.
Yeah.
Dude.
And you do not want to miss the message at the end of this episode. I think it's a very solid message for the way that we're flowing this podcast out and the way that we like to do it, and a class act from Josh for coming on twice and giving us this info and having a dang good time. And like I said, you don't want to miss the end of this episode. So let's get in to our partners. Let's start off with Ingram's. You guys are still waiting for that video to come out, huh? It's gonna be epic.
He's been busy scouting his hunting land,
Yeah.
I believe, getting stands hung and stuff. So I understand that. At what point, as a taxidermist, that's where I would have a problem,
Yeah.
Be like, man, I'm trying to hunt. I'm trying to get your deer done.
And then he gets 7 calls on October 31st because people, and then he's got to
Right.
cape out $7 right then
Right.
and get him in the freezer.
It's,
Ooh.
man, that's a tough
You ain't
line
hunting
to
in the
walk.
morning.
No, man, my old taxidermist, he's a big hunter. I mean, he wouldn't shoot a deer unless it was 180 plus. And it took a while to get it back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's one thing Chris does. He's sacrificing a lot of hunting time to be able to get these mounts out. He is the working class.
so we had him on
Taxidermist.
episode 9 or 11.
Yeah.
And he said he hunted twice last year.
Yeah, he is putting he's working full time. He's on mandatory, what did he say, 60 hours?
Yeah, mandatory 12s.
Mandatory 12s. So he's doing 60 hours
A
and
week.
still putting out mounts, and he's trying to get to that full-time range right now, but he's just trying to push the envelope, and we're trying to help him get there.
Yep,
So
he's in between,
Yep.
he's small time, part time right now, but he's very close, he said, to being full time. And I mean, obviously that's what he wants to do.
Yep.
That's his passion and his love. I mean, obviously by his name, that'd be cool to see him just, it'd be weird, and with everything like that. I mean, that takes balls, and I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but I hope he can, and I hope he has that steady business
I
because
think he has the skill to definitely do it.
he definitely has a skill. I'm not even questioning that.
He just needs to. He's new to the taxidermy game, so he needs some people to go try his mounts and be like,
Yes.
just perfect scenario right now. We could cover this. So hung a new buck in the studio tonight, right?
I was thinking.
So we come out and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna hang another buck in the studio. We kind of got a corner, and we're gonna have 3 in here for right now, and I'm gonna keep the rest inside. Homie's gonna keep his at home where they're safe.
I might bring my first bow buck
Oh,
here. I
that'd
don't
be
know.
sweet. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah,
But anyways, so hang the buck. I'm like, man, look at this mount, man. I'm like, it's only it's
3
years old.
3 years old.
Going on 3 years old. Mouse cracking, nose cracking, antlers are loose. Like, I mean,
You could almost rattle.
you could almost break the antler off. And it's a 3-year mount. That's what a quality taxidermist does. Ingram's mounts over there,
just
2 years old, just gleaming, dude.
look at that thing.
Yeah, compared to my other mount over there, it's just gleaming. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. And that's what a quality mount does. I mean, even the shoulder definition is
Right.
incredible,
I will say on your deer that's fallen apart, very good job to that taxidermist for dry preserve with detail.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some detail into it, which is very hard with the dry preserve. But homeboy that Ingram did,
Yeah.
man, just
Beautiful. Yeah, just clear out.
clean is clean.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at it and you think, oh, it makes me feel like sunflowers.
Yeah, it's
You know
just
what I'm
clean,
saying? It's
you know
just
what I mean?
clean.
Yeah. It's clean.
Very good job.
All right.
I'm ready to see one.
Yeah, let's get into the ECW calls. I want to cover their duck calls. Or you want to cover their slate combo?
It's up to you. I'm not. I don't know a lot about his duck calls. The only thing I know is the whiskey barrel the goose, or is it the duck? I believe it's the duck.
Yeah.
So he has a very limited supply. I think it's 50 calls upon further review, because I think we've mentioned before it's like 150. It is 50 calls a year that are the Whiskey Barrel Jack Daniels call series. Each one is numbered, and each one is given to Jeff individually, and he makes duck calls out of these whiskey barrels from Jack Daniels.
That's sick. And then he puts some whiskey
And then
shavings in there.
Yes, so the leftover shavings, say he's, doing whatever he's doing with it. I don't know. That's beyond
Science.
me. Yeah, science. I'm going to label that for a bunch of stuff on this podcast going forward. Science. Jeff puts the shavings left over from these barrels
Yeah, and you can smell the whiskey, man.
into the duck call. So when you get it and you open it up, there's these shavings in there, and it's a pretty good aroma from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, in the case is made from the whiskey barrels
everything,
too.
and I believe it's like interlaced,
Yeah.
so like you can see the corners. It
Beautiful,
looks
absolutely
really
beautiful.
good.
So that's something that
And-
he does that's super custom.
One thing that is nice about it is we have heard these duck calls, we've heard these goose calls, we've heard every call he's got because we were at Elmwood live show with him, and every dude, that goose call is just ripping.
There's people we're trying to record a podcast. There's people just ripping on duck calls
Right.
over there. So
And the first day, they're everybody's all over the turkey calls, so we're like, well, lunch break, we're gonna go over there and check it out, and then
then
at this point, the rest is history.
the beautiful connection made with a veteran operated company. So
Definitely check out his goose calls and his duck calls, and if you want to get in on the duck special, embrycustomwoodworking.com. Get your
right
order.
on our website, right?
It is a link right on our website at whitetaillegacypodcast.com.
Go there, click the link, take you right there. You get that custom whiskey barrel duck call. I mean, you can't beat that. I don't know any duck hunter that doesn't like whiskey. I mean, it's just like you got to go together. Duck blind, whiskey. I mean, it's just like a thing. Duck blind, whiskey, bacon, sausage. It's just like a thing.
I gotta get in on one of these duck blind breakfasts.
Yeah, it's
I gotta
pretty
get
good.
in on that.
Pretty good. All right, let's talk about the veteran. I want to say I was up in Winona, Minnesota. Went to Walmart up there. I was going to check out the veteran line. Went there, got all the broadheads out. Completely sold out of veterans already. Been in stores for a few weeks when I checked. Completely sold out. So you guys, these are at Walmart now, and you do not want to miss them before they're sold out, because I guarantee you they're going to be flying off the shelves when people see this product and see the quality and the American made by a veteran-owned, veteran-operated company. So get out there, get your broadheads. I mean, you got multiple purpose for them. If you need to kill a big buck, they got you.
Smoked.
You need to kill a forked horn, they got you.
Smoked.
Kill a doe, they got you.
Smoked.
Kill a deer,
Smoked.
shotgun a bush light. Smoked. They got you. They got you on all ends of the playing field. So we're going to move on from that and hit you with the VIP Veteran Broadhead shout out.
This week on the VIP Veteran Broadhead Shoutout, we have Tevin Robbins. He has 5 years served and still going strong. Of the Army 13B Field Artillery Section Chief. His deployments were in Iraq and Afghanistan in 2017 and 2018. Tevin, we appreciate your service, and we hope that you can still keep going strong in that Army, bud.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for everything you do.
Tevin.
What?
Tevin.
Oh,
Tevin.
Sorry. Tevin, yeah. Thanks for catching me on that. Thank you, Tevin. That's a badass name, by the way.
Yes, for sure.
I appreciate everything you do from me, my family, and the Whitetail Legacy crew. You're in the running to get the pack of the veteran broadheads, so hopefully you can hopefully your win, be able to send it through a Bush Light can. All right, guys, got to talk about Scentlok here. Homie just got a big order in of their products. Mine's still on the way. I got my bag and suit and everything, but I haven't got any of the spray or the body wash. So I'm going to kick it to Homie, and he's going to tell you guys about that stuff.
Yep, so they on their website, they have it set up to where you can buy your home kit, and that's got your laundry detergent, it's got your bar soap, it's got your deodorant, and it's got your, did I say shampoo?
I don't think you did. No, I don't think you did.
Okay. So it's got all your liquids in there, and then you can also, they got their field spray. You can get just a regular spray bottle with it, or you can get the spray bottle plus another gallon of field spray. So I went ahead and got the gallon. Hopefully that means I'm planning on hunting a lot this year. So
Yeah, you're going to have to burn it up, or it's just going to share with me probably. But.
that'd probably end up happening.
All right, yeah, don't forget our 15% off code for Scentlok. That's good for all the spray, the suits, the Oz, everything. You can find that at whitetaillegacypodcast.com. Copy it on the page there. Click the Scentlok button on the bottom of the website. Take you right to their website, and then you can use it there. All right, man. We've been having fun on this intro, but Josh is bringing you some serious knowledge on trail cams. This guy is a class act. Get your note pens ready and enjoy this episode.
What is a note pen?
Your note and your pen.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Man, homie's had like 9 bush lights. Time to wrap this up, boys. All right. Here we go. All right, guys. We're back with Josh Profitt. He was nice enough to come back on again and finish this episode out. We had that one, and we did not cover the vast knowledge that this guy has on trail cameras and hunting giant bucks on public. So we can't thank you enough for coming back on and spending more time in your life with the Legacy boys.
Man, I really do appreciate y'all guys having me on. I kind of feel like y'all are giving me a little too much credit, but it's greatly appreciated.
No, man, we love it. That we try to reach for those kind of unknown guys that are doing big things in a big way, and you paint the picture in our mind of who we want on this podcast. You know, a guy that's doing something that a lot of people don't do, that's different, that is unique, and you're being super successful in the way that you do it. So we're really glad to have you on because you're going out hunting a lot different than other people do. And like me, I listened to the episode again just because I wanted to absorb the knowledge that was put out. You know, I listened to my own episode that I already listened to because I knew how good the info was. I wanted to get it back in my brain, you know. So when you do that, you know that you're putting out something full of knowledge.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, and I don't care who you are. You can learn something from everybody. I mean, you don't have to be mainstream or big time or own some big private farm and, you know, shoot booners every year. I mean, you can take something away from anybody.
That's for sure. That's the way we think too, man. Everybody's got their own way of hunting, and if they're getting it done, we always say, man, if you're doing it, you do you and send it, and that's exactly what you're doing. So, homie just bought a couple Exodus, and you bought the Trek, right?
I did. I did buy the Trek.
You were talking up these Exodus so much. We wanted to get some of these Exodus and try them out ourselves. So, I know you've ran a lot of the Exodus, and I'd like to just give a little info about the Trek and how you can make it the best possible camera that it can be.
Well, the Trek, if I'm not mistaken, it has like a 55-foot detection zone and 50 no-glow LEDs. It's a pretty simple camera to use, and it's the same housing as the Lift 2. And I do own one, and I've checked it one time, and the thing that I did notice about it is the slower trigger speed, and I wouldn't let that hinder you from buying any kind of camera with a slower trigger speed, especially the Trek, because what you can do is, if your camera actually has a slower trigger speed, and say you put that camera on a trail, what you need to do is you need to angle that camera either up or down the trail. You don't need to put it, you know, where the deer is literally you're going to get a broadside picture of it. So that way, with your slower trigger speed, if you angle it up or down the trail, the deer has a longer time to make the camera, you know, more or less detect the object and take a picture.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't want to put it like where you get that side view. You want to get it to where it has some time where the buck's either coming or going away. Yep.
And I'm all about at least a 3-shot burst. Depends on, you know, what you want to do with your battery life and how often you check them. But if mine are on a trail, mine are on like 3-shot burst every 5 seconds, and they are angled. I don't care what kind of trigger speed they have.
Yeah, the 3-shot burst, I feel like you just get a lot more intel on a buck because he might be, you know, turning his head or something. You might be able to not see that left side, you know, in one pick, and the next you got it full frame. How do you feel about the video mode?
Man, I don't run a lot of cameras on video mode, and um, I'm thinking about doing on a hybrid mode because Exodus offers that. But I just haven't. And the reason why I haven't is because I can't put that video into DeerLab. Like, I get that you can see so much more about the deer as far as the way his rack is, the way he scores, his body language, how aggressive he is. You could maybe even hit him from different angles to tell how old he is, but I can't really use that in DeerLab, so it's just something that I've never really messed with and don't have a lot of experience with.
All right, yeah. We talked to some people that love video and some people that are just pictures, but I could see when you're running that DeerLab how the intel that you get from those pictures are so much more valuable than running a video.
Right.
We're super stoked to get the cameras out in the wood. Do you have any of them out yet, homie?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah, we're stoked to get them out and try them out. And I think he's gonna run 32 gigs and put one in the buck nest and just let her soak. So,
Oh man.
Ooh,
so hopefully, yeah, the buck nest is a trademark of this podcast, man. It's a good zone to be in, and he had 6 or 7 different shooter bucks in daylight on camera last year.
I mean, it's getting far back in my memory. A lot of bush light's been down. I can't count. It's been a lot of daylight activity. I know that early October.
Man, early October daylight activity just off the chart. So he's gonna put one in there and get some more intel on that property. And I think I'm excited to get that Exodus out and try it. And I the way you're talking and the pics that I have seen, I'm gonna be blown away. And then we also got messages from people, backing you up on, Exodus is it, man. And they're sending us trail cam pictures on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and personal messages and saying, hey, this guy wasn't joking. Here's some Exodus pics, man. I mean, they're putting out a quality product, so we couldn't risk it. And homie broke out the checkbook and bought a couple just to try them out. So
I mean,
you made a believer out of us.
Right. The 5-year warranty says it all. I mean, who do you know that offers that?
Yeah.
And if their camera wasn't built to last 68 or 70 months, then they wouldn't stamp it with the 5-year no BS warranty. So, I mean,
I know that's
like I said in the last podcast, it's a no-brainer not to buy one.
Yeah, that sold us, man. That 5-year warranty. I told homie, I said, think of how many trail cameras you've lost in the last 5 years of us combined. And we started adding them up, and it was an insane number of how many that have broken or got water damage or got insect damage or stolen or something, and it's just insane to me about how if you have that 5 years, you can really keep the camera numbers up.
Yes, and man, if you really want to know how long your cameras last, and this is something I started doing back in the day, years ago, to figure out which cameras really lasted, which companies were the better ones. The day that you put that camera on the tree for the very first time, somewhere on that camera, write the date that you started it up on the tree. I put on my lifts, they all go on the bottom of the battery tray. That way, when that thing kicks the bucket, you can turn around and look at that thing and say, man, that thing didn't last 6 months, or that thing lasted a year, or that thing lasted 2 years.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. You can really see how long that camera lasts. All right, so on the last episode, we talked about, you're running 70 trail cameras on public, and we had a lot of people message in, like, how does this guy know where each trail camera is or what SD cards, he's pulling and which one and batteries, and just kind of go into, how you set up. Say right now you're going out for Velvet Rut and you're going to set up all the cameras and kind of get a feel out for your property.
Okay. Well, one way to keep up with them, if you're running multiple cameras, multiple companies, I figured this out the hard way. You cannot cross-reference your cards. You cannot mix them up. So I definitely don't recommend mixing your cards up, say your Brownings and stealth cameras, because they all have different softwares, and those have a way of getting downloaded onto your SD cards, and that ends up screwing up cameras. not taking pictures. So what I do is when I ran multiple different types of cameras, like I said, at one point in time, I had Browning, stealth camera, spy point, one Reconyx. I had a bunch. And so I numbered every camera, 1 through whatever I had, 1 through 30, 1 through 40. And then I had 2 SD cards numbered with the camera. So camera 1 had 2 SD cards with 1 on them. And that was a good way for me to keep up with that. And what I did is I bought one of those, it's kind of like a small, I don't know what you would call it. I bought it at Walmart. You kind of put like plastic lures in that you fish with, like a plastic tray.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, and I just divided those cards up into it. They all had their own spot, and then you just close the top, and they never lost their square. So they were all in numeric order, 1 through 30, and I would pop that container open, and then if I checked camera 5, I would pull the card 5 out, put it in my pack, and then I would pull card 5 out of my little tackle holder that I kept my cards in and just slide it in. And right then and there, when I was at that camera, if I put it out the very first time, I would mark it on either Hunt Stand Light, is what I had at the time, or Onyx, and I would mark the location and the number of the camera and what camera it was. And that is how I never lost them. And I always knew where they were. And then when I got home, I would, if it was a new camera, I would just upload the information, drop the waypoint or the camera onto DeerLab and put in the information. So I had backup. I had it on my phone, then I had it on my computer of where the camera was and what camera it was.
Which app are you finding to be more accurate? Are you finding OnX to be more accurate or Hunt Stand to be more accurate?
I can't tell the difference.
Okay.
The Hunt Stand is cool because it shows you the property lines and trailheads, and you can find public properties that a lot that you didn't know was there, and it just shows a lot more than like Hunt Stand. But Hunt Stand works fine. I used it for a long time, and it's free.
Right.
Yeah. See, I was wondering how you did your trail cam marking, because like if I put out like 6 trail cams or 5 trail cams, I'm like, where did I put that 5th trail cam? I can't keep track of 5, So you're running 70. I could see if you marked it on Hunt Stand or Onyx, and then, you could kind of be like, okay, I'm going to go 1 through, 70 and pull them for the year, to get all that intel. I couldn't imagine how long it takes you just to get your trail cams out at the beginning of the year,
It takes a long time. I won't have them all up it'll take me through October. And I don't run 70 myself. It's between me and 2 other people I hunt with. I personally probably own about 40. But we all key, because we all hunt together, kind of as a little group. We're all it's a real tight circle. All of our cameras have mini padlocks that are all keyed the same. So if my buddy's close to my camera, or I know he's going to be close, I'll pass him my card and he'll check it for me.
Nice.
Marked with that number, or?
Yeah, like if he tells me, hey, I'm going into the Lower West, I'd be like, man, you need to snag that Lower West Creek camera for me. I'll give you a card. And he's already got the key to the camera because all of our cameras are keyed the same, and he'll check it for me.
Heck
and
yeah.
That may save me a 2-mile walk, if not further.
Oh yeah, if you're
Right.
going in there, that's one thing we always say. If you're going in to hunt, that's the best time you can check your trail cameras.
Oh yeah. Then it's been same way with him or any of them. One of my buddies I hunt with, which is more like a brother to me, lives 4 hours away in Tennessee, and I have the keys to everything he owns. That way, if I want to move something or whatever, there's 0 issues. So I hope that helps y'all out.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's some stuff that we wanted to know, because even I think I'll do that with even the small number of trail cameras I have. Just it would be cool to have that marked on a map, because then if you did move it, you could make in the comments there, I hung this from October 1st to the 31st, no shooters or 5 shooters or, whatever. You can make some comments, and then wherever you moved it, you can mark it again. So the last year you can say, okay, I got all this intel and now I have no shooters. But we can make that a lot easier if we just use DeerLab, right?
Yeah, and in DeerLab, you can turn your cameras on and off. Now, if you delete the camera, you lose all the information. So, but you can turn the cameras on and off, and they're gray on when they're turned off, and they're orange when they're turned on.
Okay, I'm super intrigued by the pics that you're sending me on DeerLab. So I want to go into a very detailed description of how you've used what DeerLab is, how you've used it, and how it's made you more successful.
I don't think that it's made me more successful yet. This will be my 3rd season running it, but DeerLab is basically an internet software for organizing and patterning deer off weather, moon, what have you. And how it does that is your date and your time have to be correct. So when you upload that picture on the DeerLab, off the date and the time, it automatically pulls up exactly what the weather was doing at that time. And it doesn't matter. You can upload old pictures from 1980 and it'll pull it up.
Wow.
And it's a cloud, and it makes things so organized, because you can make big buck profiles, you can make hit lists, you can make deer that you watch, and it's just the way that it does it. It keeps everything so organized and in a cloud, and all your buddies, y'all can all get on it at the same time. You just have a username and a password. And so you log on. So everybody wants to know, like, well, how do you upload that many pictures? We got over 1,000 pictures, I think, on DeerLab, and 2 seasons. And what it is we all upload them from our homes, and then when we upload them, we can all see it from the convenience of our homes, because all it takes is a username and a password.
Yeah, that's nice. So you can upload the pics, and then your buddy, who hasn't even pulled those trail cameras cars, can see those pics with that username and password, and get the same intel that you got without you guys having to send Snapchats or screenshots of the bucks or whatever,
Exactly, man. And it just breaks it down so good, as far as the wind, the barometric pressure, and it does this really cool thing called heat maps. So you click on a deer, say you want to kill Big Daddy Rabbit, and you've been trying to chase Big Daddy Rabbit for...
Is that one of your bucks' names? That's a solid.
No.
That's a solid.
No.
I'm gonna steal that. I'm stealing that. I needed to name a buck, and I just named him. You mind if I steal that?
No, go ahead.
All right. Big Daddy Rabbit on trail cam.
So Big Daddy Rabbit shows up on a bunch of your cameras, and you upload a bunch of pictures of him, but you can't remember which cameras he showed up on because you run so many. Well, you click on heat maps, and it shows you in infrared which cameras, they glow darker red on which cameras he shows up the most. And like, say you got 2 cameras that are fairly close together, it kind of, the heat map between each 2 cameras will kind of draw together, and that way you can kind of see, like, it just gives you a really good idea of which cameras he's hitting the most.
Well, I guess after this one here, I'm gonna have to buy some DeerLab.
And that, man, it's very affordable, because they got multiple packages. Like their unlimited package, I think it's $408 a season. Some people may think that's high, but if you got, like, there's four buddies that I do it with, it's $100 a piece a season, and the intel that you get off of it is amazing, because so many people neglect their trail camera pictures. They love to run them, and they love to get the pictures, but that's all it is to them. And there's so much more that can be told through the date and the time because of the weather, especially if you're trying to chase a deer for years.
Yeah, how many pictures is the unlimited? It's just as many as you can put on there?
Yeah.
So what is there a lower amount
Yeah,
of pictures?
there's a lower amount of pictures and a lower amount of cameras and a lower amount of properties, but we got the unlimited one because we knew we was going to be running a bunch of cameras and a couple of different properties, and we didn't want to run into any issues.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. You guys definitely need the unlimited, but for
Yeah.
someone like us, that might be running 8 trail cams or so, 6 trail cams, you could probably get a cheaper version of it and still
Yep.
get all the benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know they got one package that's like 1 farm and 10 cameras. It's something like that, or 2 farms and 10 cameras. I'm not for sure because I haven't looked at it, but man, DeerLab will not work if you don't do it every year because it works off past history. And I don't care what kind of camera you got, whether you run a cell camera or just a regular digital camera, it's already in the past. It's past tense.
Yeah.
So that's how DeerLab works. So the longer you run DeerLab, the better you're gonna be able to pattern deer and to see deer movement, whether it's a specific deer or multiple deer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing we hear a lot of people talk about on this podcast, but they never really cover a lot, is you said that it covers the moon phase. So just on kind of your DeerLab history, what has been the best moon phase in Kentucky for buck movement?
I don't look at it because I don't believe in it.
We hear that a lot, man. We hear either they don't look at it or they believe it 100%. And I'm kind of on the fence of whether I believe it or not.
Do your hardcore research with scientists, and there's no correlation really. I mean, there's not. From everything I've gathered, I feel like on a darker moon, I may see more deer in the mornings or just better deer in general. But the actual moon phase, as far as deer movement, I'm not really into it, man. It doesn't mean crap to me. I know it has to do with the does coming into estrus. I do believe in that. But as far as the way they move and which moons they move on and the red moon, you ain't gonna sell that to this old boy.
Right.
Yeah, the reason I don't really believe in it is because I don't understand it. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to believe or to take someone's, info or something when I have no understanding of any of it. You know what I mean? That's like someone saying, "Oh yeah, it's Tuesday. Deer are moving good on Tuesday." I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
You want to know what makes sense, and you can either take this with a grain of salt or you can take this and run with it. Weather trumps everything when it comes to deer movement. Weather trumps everything.
Yeah.
If you wanna figure out how your deer are moving, pay attention to the weather, and I just forget about the moon.
Yeah, I think weather and wind. I mean, the wind direction plays a huge role, and then weather is.
Yeah, I think even the jury say, weather trumps moon, and then they want to talk about, and a lot of other people want to talk about, overhead and underfoot, and then after that, I'm lost.
No, and to a guy like me, I got to hunt anyways because I have very limited time to hunt. So
that's what I'm saying.
What the moon is, or really what the weather's doing, I'm probably going to be out there.
Yeah, I feel you there, man.
Like, I got a decent wind. This is, I got 2 days to get it done. I'm going in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to go hunt, or I'm not going to hunt, because it's a full moon, or I'm not going to hunt because it's a new moon. I'm just going to go hunt when I got time, just like you, or I got the right wind or the right weather, like you said. So,
well, just say you got this red moon that everybody talks about in the moon guide.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know when the red moon falls because I don't care about it. But
well, it's all up to the farmers, ain't it?
I have no idea.
If the red moon falls, if the blood moon falls, and it is unseasonably warm and just humidity is high, might as well sink that moon. It's just weather to me. That's what I care about is the weather, is weather patterns. You can't beat a good code front, bottom line.
So what about wind direction? Have you noticed anything off DeerLab where
where
the deer are moving more in a certain wind direction? And does it Is it more by direction or more by like with the location with the draws and stuff where they're moving?
I think it's more by direction versus draws or wind speed. I'm not big on wind speed neither. Some people say that they won't hunt in high winds or deer don't move in high winds. And I'm just going to tell you that they do. And this is my personal opinion. And the reason why nobody see deer in high winds is because they normally don't sit in it. So I see a lot of deer, like the deer I was trying to kill. There was a couple cameras on, and DeerLab breaks it into a percentage pie graph. So he'll be like, on the lower east camera on a south wind, he was on this camera 40%. So it gives you a really good idea, you know, if the wind's blowing in a certain direction that you need to be around that camera. So you're really got to pay attention to that. And that's how it breaks it down. But as actual wind direction, yes, I've seen a deer move, you know. Their number one goal in life is to survive. And the best way they do that is their nose. And the way they use their nose is with the wind.
For sure. That's like a buck I was hunting last year. No trail cam picks. I won't hunt. You know, south wind, boom, shows up on a south wind. I can only hunt it on northwest, only shows up on a south wind. Like he knows he's safe cruising there, you know, and that just shows you that I don't know if he has smelled me before, you know, and I'm not known it, but he'll only show up on a south wind, you know, and then that's one of those times where you get a southwest or a southeast where you might be able to cut him off, you know, just that edge. Do you go in there after him or do you play it safe, you know? So,
and see, the thing I've noticed, you know, the biggest buck that I seen last year come out of the woods with the wind to his back, but it was 35, 30 mile an hour winds all day, you know, and he comes out of the woods behind a doe pre-rut and wind at his back.
Man, the wind will make them do, or the rut will make them do funny things, but that wind may not have been hitting him like you think it was. I mean, you got to think about, you know, wind tunnels and thermals. There's a lot that comes into it that a lot of people don't put a lot of.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, he really come through a pretty deep draw, and it kind of flattens out, and then when to where he come out in the field was kind of a bowl, like it just kind of rolls down into this little finger, and you know the point of it is just down deep in the field. So it probably, just like you said, it probably wasn't hitting him as hard as it was hitting me up on top of the field.
And man, he could have just had, you know, it's that time of year, and that's what I've always called the Vegas luck. And he may not have cared which way his wind was blowing, because what he wanted was right in front of him, and nothing else mattered at that time.
Yep, he come right out of the woods. I seen the doe first, obviously, and then he come out, hit a scrape, and turned and found her, and then he was locked on her, and then they went down in that bowl, and I never seen either of them again.
See ya.
And deer do things sometimes that I don't care if you're the most seasoned hunter that's done 1,000 podcasts or have 10 booners on the wall. Deer do things sometimes to us that just make no sense, and you just don't know why they done it. They just done it.
Yeah, we've all been there where you think you got a buck figured out, and then you're like, man, he's a mile away. What is he doing over here? And we hear that story a lot. Like, this buck is not supposed to be here. You know, it's supposed to be a mile away on this property, and boom, here he is. You know, or it just, like you said, they get tied up on a doe, or they're looking for the new hot doe, and they just kind of come out of their territory and find a new spot, and you can't pattern. That's why, like you said, the Vegas rut, or the Vegas luck, it's because you never know you might get a brand new buck or a buck that's been nocturnal for 3 months. You might scroll in during the daylight. So
right, I agree.
Well, let's get back into these trail cameras. That's what we really wanted to touch on here. Let's get back and let's cover some tips that you can save on the battery life for them.
Oh man, Well, number one, I'm going to tell you to run lithium, because you put them in at the beginning of the season and you forget about them until you take them out when you put them away for the end of the year. If you're like me, and you do run a lot of cameras, those lithium batteries are like 30% lighter than an alkaline battery. So if you got several cameras in your pack and you got a long walk, I mean, you're saving weight just on lithiums. And so that's what I'm going to tell you, is to run lithiums. And a lithium battery stays at almost 1.7 volts till it goes dead. And an alkaline battery is 1.6 volts, but as soon as you hit it with a load, it goes to 1.5 volts as soon as you turn your camera on. So it's already dropping voltage. It's already losing battery life, and it hadn't even taken a picture. And really, a lot of people don't believe this, but when your cameras, if you're running alkalines and they get around half battery life, you really need to change your batteries, because you're losing performance. Your trigger speed slows down, your detection zone shrinkens, your IR, your flash range isn't as good, and eventually your batteries will get so low that your camera will quit working, or it will only take daytime pictures. So ways to get better battery life is, do not run shot burst. If you're worried about your battery life and you can't get to your camera very often, don't put it on a high shot burst. Put it on like a one shot burst. That's because it's not taking near as many pictures. And another thing is that a lot of people don't realize is you can lower your megapixel setting and it will actually save on your battery life. Like those Exodus, they go down to like 2 or 3 megapixel. And if you know you're not going to check your camera for months, you can drop it and you still get a good picture. And you definitely got to clear the debris out in front of these cameras, because anything makes them, they're sensitive. The heat will set them off, like the sun will set them off, the twigs will set them off. So I always try to make sure that my camera's got a clear line of sight. And I always try to make sure that my cameras are either facing north or south. And I say that because your sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. If you point your cameras those directions, you're probably going to get a bunch of false pictures of the sun.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than going out and you're like, man, I got 100 pictures, and you got 97 of twigs and 3 possums.
I haven't been smoked by a twig yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most all my cameras are, depends on where they are, but if they're on a trail, they're on a 5-shot burst every 3 seconds. If you're worried about battery life, put it on a 3-shot burst every minute, or a 2-shot burst every minute, or a 1-shot burst every minute. Anything you can do to make that camera take less pictures is going to save your battery life. But if you're like me and you want to hit him from every angle, it's not an option. Buy lithiums or change your batteries at 50 or 60%.
Lithiums, do they perform better in cold weather too, correct?
Yeah, an alkaline is a water-based solution. So obviously, it may not mess with them too much around where I live, but you start going up north, they get sluggish. And a lithium, it's not a water-based solution, and they're good from like 140 degrees to like -40. So,
I mean, it gets -20 in the -20s up here sometimes, and your trail camera's out there rocking it. So,
well, nobody wants the upfront cost of lithiums, because they're a lot more expensive, but they'll change those outer cameras 3 or 4 times a season. In the long run, you save money, you save time, you save the headache, and your camera performs better with lithium batteries, hands down.
Yeah, one thing I will say is if you go to buy you buy them on eBay, you can buy huge packs and get a really good deal. You can buy a box of them and get a really good deal.
I bought 100 of them off eBay, and I don't remember what I paid for them, but that's how I bought a brick. And Sam's Club offers a really good price on them for like $50. I don't remember what the price is, but that if you're wanting to save money, eBay or Sam's Club.
So I just got 2 12-packs at Walmart last weekend because I knew I was getting the 2 new Exodus, and then I already had my 2 Brownings. So I'm trying to get at least 3 of them powered up, and I don't have to worry about them. And then we'll figure out the next one when it comes around. But I bought 2 of them. I think it was $13.84 for 12 batteries. So it was plus tax. It was around $30 for 24 batteries.
Right, but you don't gotta change them.
But yeah, I just put 8 batteries in a camera, and I ain't gotta worry about it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's worth not having to worry about it. It seems like a lot up front, like you're saying, but if you buy the cheap batteries and you gotta change them twice or 3 times, then you got all that activity in there changing batteries. Then if the battery dies because you got 700 pictures of a twig, and then you got no pictures of a deer, you done lost all that intel. When if you did accidentally get, the pictures of a twig, and then you had the lithium in there, then you'd still have enough power to power them pics for when a buck did come by. So like you said, I think lithium is the way to go, only because there's something that's said about not worrying about your gear's performance, and like if you got an Exodus camera, that thing's going to perform. If you put lithium batteries in it, that it's going to perform. There's nothing worse than saying, man, I don't know if those batteries are dead or not. I better go in there and check it. It's been 3 weeks. So
I think to a point, people will look for an excuse to go in to check the trail cams. Like, maybe I need to look at the batteries, or whatever. And then they're in there just messing it up. Like it's a really good spot, and then they just they feel like they have to go in there and check it, and that maybe they feel like they don't have a big enough SD card, or that they didn't get the lithium batteries. I'm telling you, just do the best you can up front to where you don't have to go in there as often as you think you need to, because the longer you let it soak, the better your hunting is going to be.
I agree, man. You gotta let them bake, and I put a lot of cameras where people say that I shouldn't, and I'm okay with that because I wait for a good wind. I go in, and either I will check them once or twice a season, and that's it. All of my cameras on the main WMA I hunt with have been out at least 6 weeks, and I haven't checked any of them. And they're all running lithium batteries. I'm going to check some Sunday, but I know I won't check them all. And I'm not worried about anything.
Yeah, I was watching your Instagram, and you talk about those pants, dude. Those pants are sweet.
Man, I've really got turned on to the direct customer to consumer. The quality of gear that you get, I know this is off subject, but it's worth talking about. Like KUIU, you can only buy directly from them, just like Exodus. And all that money that gets spent in the markup, which is like 40%, I mean, you can get they build a better product at a cheaper price because there's no middleman and there's no markup. And those pants I check my trail cameras in are 4-way stretch. They got built-in knee pads that are very lightweight, and I can get around in them good because I'm on my knees a lot when I check my cameras. I got this really cool thing called hip dumps. So on the side of your hips, you unzip them, and it's got a mesh. It's almost like air conditioning for your legs.
Yeah, I'd seen that, man. That was sweet. Plus, you got the knee pads, and then you got the aeration up there. So if you are hiking back deep in public, hanging stands or checking trail cameras, I think those are some sweet. And they look, like you said, they were super high quality, and it looked like they were tough. They look like they can hold up to some briars and stuff when you're walking through.
They're the best, man, in my opinion. They're not going to hold up the briars like I said a Carhartts are, but I'm literally out there, and I feel like I'm in a set of pajama pants with an air conditioner, and I'm running around.
Heck yeah, you can't beat that, especially
this
time of year when it's 90 degrees when you're checking trail cameras and stuff,
Oh, I mean, I take off up that first hill out there, and I start to get hot, and I unzip them hip dumps, and it's like instant gratification, like, oh man, that's why I bought these.
Yeah, Kentucky's got some big hills too. I can't imagine what you guys' public's like. I mean, we got some draws and stuff, but nothing like you guys got.
No, that's beyond us.
Right. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. The pants I wear, KUIU Alpines when I check my cameras. That's what they are. They're like $130, I think. They offer like a lifetime warranty on the zippers, and they're just a great pant, man.
Heck yeah! Well, let's get back into trail cameras. I had to touch on those pants because I see them on your Instagram. I was like, man, I got to get some more intel on these because these are sweet. But you kind of touched on it earlier, but I was just kind of wondering what you have decided is the best SD card to run on the Exodus, size, and then I know there's different formats for the SD card, so you could go into that a little bit.
Okay. I come across a really good deal. All my cards are at least 16 gig because I try to run all my cameras on 12 megapixel, and I don't check them for a long time. So I like a big card, but all my cards are at least 16 gig, and probably over half of them are 32 gig. And I think I can get like 5,000 pictures. I don't even remember. It's a bunch. I've never filled my SD cards up. And the cool thing is, for people that hunt out of state and really can't check their cameras, Exodus actually holds a 64 gig card. I know the Lift 2 does.
Wow.
So
64 gigs, man. That's like 3 years for me.
I know, but there's different classes, and I don't know a lot about them. I just done a little bit of research in them. Class 10 is your fastest card, and like class 2 is your slowest card. I try to at least have a class 4 card, but most of mine I have some class 4, but most of mine are I think class 6 and class 10, and class 10 is the fastest. The main thing I've noticed, they load up on my computer really fast. Like, we've all had a couple thousand pictures, and we click on our computer, and it's just like, man, major jet lag here, major lag on the pictures loading. With that class 10 card or that class 6 card, they load real fast. And also, if you're really wanting a true full HD video or HD picture, you need a higher class card, because if you think that you bought a true camera that's HD and it's 30 megapixels and it's going to take this bad to the bone picture, you put this Dollar General store class 2 card in it, you just defeated the purpose. Because it's not the card won't
hold that quality of picture.
Yeah, it won't. So at least a class 4 card. Class 10 is the best. Most of mine are between class 4 and class 10. Most of them are class 10, and I bought them off eBay, and I got a really good deal on them, and that's why I think I have about 70 or 80 SD cards, and probably 50 of them are class 10 SanDisk 32 gig cards.
Dang, man.
SanDisk, okay. What are you running, Cody?
SanDisk, yeah.
SanDisk, okay. Well,
I got a couple of the Moultrie cards just because I run them in the Moultrie cams, and it's just easier because they're like they throw that card error thing, which I'm not sure how to fix. It's something with the format, so I
do. Throw it in the trash can and find Exodus.
Good plan, man. Good plan.
Nice.
Good plan. Yeah, I feel you there. I'm gonna see how homies perform. I'm sure they perform top notch, and then I'll probably be buying a couple. But
so as we mentioned, I got the 2 Exodus cams I'm gonna put out. I got the lithium batteries I'm gonna put in it, and then previously on my truck cams I run the PNY 32 gig micro SD with the adapter in there. And, like we mentioned way back when we started this deal, I take out the micro SD, I put it in my old Android phone, and I just put all my truck cam pics right on my old phone. And I'm usually doing that when I'm going on the way to the stand to hunt. So then I hop up in the stand, and then I got that 20-minute buffer, half-hour buffer before daylight. I'm just swiping through pics. So I've been running the PNY I get it at Walmart. I think a 32 gig card is about $14. And, it's got the micro SD. And I've been running that with the Brownings the last 2 years. And it's turned out really good. So I'm going to put 2 of them in the Exodus and see how that turns out.
Sweet.
Just because that's how I check my truck games with a micro SD. I mean, I can go get a SanDisk, a 32 gig card, but then I got to get a laptop involved or have to get multiple cards like you're talking about, Josh. You got your tackle box full of cards. I just feel like with the micro SD, that fits the way that I want to check my trail cams.
So when you do that, what are you getting out of your trail cameras? Like you check them and they're on your phone, and that's just pretty much what it is.
Yeah. So So what I can do is I can go there and I can pull that micro SD, plug it right into the back of my phone, and unload 800 pictures in about a minute and a half, and then that card is clear again. I plug it back into the adapter and right back into my trail cam, and away I go. Whether it's to my stand or whether it's back to the truck and out of the farm, whether I'm just checking it or if I'm going in there to hunt.
And something I want to tell y'all about is it like you in your situation, if you just more or less just got the pictures on your phone and you're not doing a lot with them, and let's just say you don't have money for DeerLab, and I get it, man, money's tight, and sometimes it's just other priorities come in. I think it's Wonderground has the website, or you could Google it, but I'm pretty sure Wonderground has a website. Say, homie, you get on your phone and the buck you've been chasing, you got several daylight pictures of him, whether it's whatever camera it's on. You can get on, I think it's Wonderground. Don't hold me to it, but you may be able to Google and find a similar site. And you can type in the location, the date, and the time, and it'll give you the weather just like DeerLab
would. Weather Underground is the one I've heard.
Okay. Well, then maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I've used it, but it's been 4 years ago or longer.
Okay. Just like a lot of people just get a picture, they don't do anything about it. And you have to know about DeerLab before you can access DeerLab. And I haven't known about it until talking to you. And, you can't do anything more than what you know about. And I actually use Weather Underground because I shot a deer this past October, and I wanted to tell the story on this podcast. And when I found him in March, and I went back to be able to fill in the blanks about this story of me shooting this deer, and I went back and used Weather Underground to pull that data, and was like, hey, it was 47 degrees, the barometric pressure was rising in the evening, and just laid it out that way. So I have used it, and I did know about Weather Underground, but until I talked to you a couple weeks ago, I did not know anything about DeerLab.
DeerLab is a great product, but it's a lot of work, so you really gotta want it. Like me, I feel like I would neglect my family if I stayed out all day. And then I come home and I looked at my pictures and I saved them on my computer, and then I uploaded them to my DeerLab. It's a lot of work. I'll be honest with you, it's a lot of work and it takes some time, but your season is going to reflect your scouting, and you're only going to get back what you put in. So, I'll come home and I won't do anything, and I'll just wake up before my family does and do it. It may take me a couple of days to get it in, but I get it in, or I will stay up late after they go to bed. Just because I feel like going the distance is going to make the difference.
Yeah, for sure. That intel that you get is crucial for hunting public ground on the time strengths that you have. You know what I mean? For only being able to hunt the limited time that you do and still being able to get it done. I think the DeerLab and running that many trail cams essential for the way that you hunt.
DeerLab is so organized, and you really realize the information that you can get out of a trail camera. It is worth every penny, and it is worth every hour I've spent on this couch uploading pictures.
For sure. So let's get into a couple more things about the trail, about the Exodus before we cut this off. Let's talk about the flash range and go over that. Let's talk about the infrared flash range. Is all the Exodus infrared?
Yes, yeah, they are, and I'm not sure on the lift how many LEDs it has, but it's more than the Trek. The Trek has 55 or 50 LEDs, okay? And the lift has more. So you're going to get a longer flash range out of the lift or out of any camera that has more LEDs. But what I try to do is my cameras that have the big flash ranges, I'll put them on my field edges because that's where you're going to need them. If you're up in the woods and you're in there where the deer tight, you don't need a lot of LEDs, because what happens is if you get a camera in the woods in a tight area and everybody's done it, it takes a picture of that deer, and at night everything looks white. Y'all have done that, right? Like, man, that's white. It blurred everything out. Well, what's happening is those LED, that flash is bouncing off everything around it, all the trees, the briars. So the cameras, like my Lift 2s, I'll put them where there's nothing for it to bounce off of, like a field edge. That's where you're going to need your little better detection zone. And your cameras with the less LEDs, man, just put them in tight quarters, and you're going to get the same performance as you would with a camera that had less LEDs.
That's a good tip, man, because I get a lot of those pics that are like that, where you're like, man, why is this like almost white?
This son of a bitch is going to heaven. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like it's just glaring. The pic's just glaring, and you're like, man, this thing. But that makes sense how that infrared's are reflecting.
Because
it's bouncing back off everything, because you hardly ever get a whiteout picture if the deer's in the wide open field and he's 15 foot in front of the camera. But if he's 15 foot in a thicket, there's multiple times with any camera you run where you got a whiteout, and that's why.
I see. Yeah, that's a super good tip, because I get those a lot. That's something I didn't know. That's something I'll have to think about, is running those lower
put your lower end in the woods.
Yeah, put lower end in the woods and the higher end on the edges.
Man, put them in the thickets and just leave them alone. Or you got to know where your deer are bedding. But I'll tell you this: if a rabbit likes it, a deer loves it. I don't care if it's public or private land. And a lot of that reason is because, especially on public land, is because everybody, when they hunt, they set themselves up to see. In my opinion, when they're bow hunting, they act like they're gun hunting, and it's like, I'm like, man, why are you sitting there? Put yourself in position to kill the deer. And in them thickets, a lot of times when you're sitting in a tree, you can't see anything, and you don't see much of anything. But when you do see something, it's a nice buck, or it's the one you're after. Or sometimes when you're in a thicket like this particular area that I'm going to hunt, and knock on wood, I got a feeling I may knock one down in there, and it's so thick, I'm going to ground and pound it. I'm going to sit on the ground, and I bet nobody never hunts it, because there's nowhere for a tree. You can't see. And I'm going to have to be on top of my game, because when that deer comes in there, it's going to be time to shoot. And when he comes up in there, he's not going to have time to know what's going on, because I plan on hitting that pump station disconnect on him. Come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just nailed it on the head there, to why my first 7-8 years of bow hunting, I didn't have very much success, because I was treating it as I was gun hunting. And I think a lot of, new people try to treat it that way, but your season is so much longer. You get to experience deer all throughout the fall in the different stages of, the rut. You get the pre-rut. You get them out of, just exiting summer patterns. You get them in that rut, and then you get them in the second rut, and then you get them hitting the late food source in the winter, So, I think that's a good thing you hit on there.
Yeah, and man, there was a big bell curve for me hunting. When I started hunting this public ground, I didn't kill a deer for a long time. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the way the hunting industry is going today. And I hate it. It's like everybody wants to talk about killing big deer and they want to kill big deer and they know everything about it. But when you go to look at their wall, there ain't no big deer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? And the guy's cocky and the deer's not there. Man, get some deer underneath your belt. It takes some time, and it took me some time. Like I'm sitting here right now, I see several deer that don't score Pope and Young, and it don't bother me one bit because it was more about the experience than the hunt. And I've learned and brought home so much with that.
Yeah, man, get out there and hunt. That's the best way to learn. I mean, you can listen to podcasts and watch videos and get ideas, but you got to go out there and figure out what works for your property, what works for your area, you know, what the deer like, and how you want to hunt. Like you said, if you chose to hunt off the ground now this year, and we've had multiple people, and like if you see, like that's like a taboo thing to do, hunt off the ground now. Like it's just back in the day, that's what everybody did, but now it's like it's not what people do. But we've had multiple people come on this podcast and talk about bucks that they've shot off the ground, and they're just not even expecting, you know, bucks aren't even expecting you to be there because there's no stand. You walked in there, you know, I'm going to sit up here, and then boom, you, like you said, you surprise him, and he has no clue that you're even there because he's so used to, you know, human scent, someone hanging a stand, coming in, making a move on him, and you're there, you know. So I think that's an awesome idea, and I bet you with your trail cameras and you going in there, you know, and hunting off the ground, I bet you will be successful.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I would bet on it. But I mean, you kind of touch on it a little bit. We kind of just skirted around the edges a little bit. I mean, you got to get some kills underneath your belt, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame if you're killing a 120-inch to 2-year-old. I don't care who you are, where you're from. And the majority of the United States, you're doing better than a lot of people. So don't be ashamed of it, because I mean, you still got to learn how to hunt these deer. You still got to learn what to do when they show up. You got to be prepared for killing these deer when they get there, and you're not going to do that if you haven't killed them. And I've seen this so many times. Somebody will pass a buck and talk about it because of what everybody else is killing, but it was their biggest buck. And I'm like, you just passed your biggest buck?
Yep, I've been in the tree stand and someone has done that with me, and I'm like,
why?
You know,
because at the end of the day, really nobody cares what you kill. They may say something, but a week later, nobody knows. Nobody cares. It's the experience you bring home and the information that you get for it is what matters. You're not out there hunting for what other people think of you. You're out there doing it for yourself.
Yeah, it's like I said on this podcast before. I don't know like how many forked horns and 6-pointers and basket racks I've shot. You know, I mean, just a ton, because I've been hunting, you know, since I was a young kid. And if I didn't have all them deer under my belt, when a big deer came in now, I wouldn't be as prepared, you know, as it was. So I think like what you're saying is get out there and don't be afraid to shoot, you know, a smaller buck if that's what you're happy with, because you're still learning, you're still gaining from the experience, and there's always next year, you know, there's always, okay, so next year I'm going to shoot for a little bit bigger buck, you know, and I think like what you're saying is some people see the TV or they listen to podcasts and they're saying, well, if it's not a 140 or a 5.5-year-old, don't shoot it. Well, I mean, I think if you haven't shot a buck yet, you go out there and shoot the first deer with horns. You know what I mean? With antlers. I mean,
yeah.
And get it done, and then grow from there. You know, okay, now you got 3-4 bucks down. Do you want to go for something bigger? Cool. A basket rack 8 comes in, biggest deer you shot, shoot that deer, learn from it, and go on. You know, and just like you were saying, everybody's got to hunt their own style and learn from it. And if it takes you 6 small bucks to get to where you want to shoot a big one, that's the way you're hunting. You know, just like you're saying, you need to go out there and just do you the best you can and have fun. And like you said, no one really cares about what you shoot. I mean, unless you post
Right.
it on social media, then you're going to get 95 D-bags telling you that they wouldn't have shot that deer.
Well,
You know?
they forget about that 20 minutes later. Don't let somebody else set your own goals. Don't let somebody else dictate what you do, and don't let somebody else steal the experience away from you. I see so many hunters bashing hunters today, guys. We got PETA for that.
Yeah,
Stick
for
together.
sure.
It doesn't matter. You got to stick together.
Yeah,
Bottom line.
we've already had pics turned in for having animal cruelty and stuff on them. You know, I mean, we got PETA for that. We don't need other hunters on there, but
That's right.
we're getting up to the hour mark here, and we can't thank you enough to come on. But I just want to ask, is there anything else that you want to cover before we cut this episode off?
Man, we've done two, and I feel like we've covered a lot. And my mind's went 1,000 different places. I've drunk a couple adult beverages in between.
That always helps
So-
on this podcast.
You're right.
And I really don't even drink, but I want to touch on something real quick that I've personally never heard in a podcast, and I think that a lot of people, they just do it wrong. I think they put hunting before they put a lot of other things. And just want to give a shout out to my wife, because we was out here talking tonight. She's telling me how much she believed in me, and she was, we were just talking like about God and family, and that's really where it should start is God and the family, and the hunting should come behind after that. And I see that so much. So many people put these deer and what other people think and these cameras, and none of that matters. None of that is more important than your family. If you put your hunting before your family, you're looking at it wrong. And if you got kids, and I hear this all the time, and you're telling your wife, well, I hunted before we got married and we had kids, so I'm going to continue hunting. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, she changed her whole life for this. And you should not be selfish enough to think that you shouldn't contribute to do some changes as well. So
Yeah,
we'll end it on that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to say, man. Like we tell people all the time, we both got kids, and we're doing this just because we love it, and we can't thank our wives enough for letting us do this, because they're the one that makes this happen. The listeners, the people that come on, and our wives, because they're the ones watching the kids and letting us come out here and talk to people and produce this for people. And just like you're saying, I mean, kids, there's people out there that don't have kids, and they don't understand the time for work and kids and family. And there's a lot of people that can relate to that. So I think that was a perfect thing for you to say to end this episode. We do that a lot, man. Shout out to the wives out there. If you're a hunting wife and you're listening to this podcast, or you're a husband, just say, hey, babe, man, thanks for letting me hunt so much. I mean, thank you for, supporting my passion and letting me go out there and chase these critters. I think that's a perfect way to end this.
Yeah, man, I agree, man. God and your family should come before hunting. Bottom line, you want to be successful, put those two things first.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Well, Josh, class act, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on twice with us, but I knew there was a ton that we wanted to cover. I think you did a stellar job. I can't wait to see what you got in store for the next years of intel, because I think you're gonna go far in this trail camera intel game. So hopefully we can touch base with you again, in the future, and hit on any new knowledge that you've learned. And we can't thank you enough for coming here and instilling some information and spending time with us, and creating a friendship with the podcast and with me and homie.
Yeah, man. And, like I said, it was an honor. I enjoyed it. I love, I'm literally sitting up in here walking around in circles in my man cave looking at all these deer, talking to you guys. And I've had a blast. And it's going on, after 11?
Yeah.
Somewhere I haven't
Yeah.
looked at my phone.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
Well, we
I
just
got up at
burned an hour.
3:30.
We just burned an hour and 4 minutes, and I was like, "Holy smokes, we're at an hour and 4 minutes!" Like, because we're just flowing, man. You're just ripping it out, so it went good.
And it's a good time, man. And I appreciate y'all guys having me on. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right, man. We'll let you get to bed. Thanks again for spending this late night with us again, and we appreciate you. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy.
Catch you later.
See you.